All right, we are 5 o'clock sharp. Let's go ahead and get this started. All right, I'm going to have Mr. Tim Wynn lead us in prayer.
Dear Lord, thank you for today, Lord. Thank you for bringing us all here safe. It's been a wet road. I pray that you just protect people going from work to home, Lord, and just protect everybody on the road. Pray that you just give us wisdom in your favor in making decisions up here, Lord, to help our community. And I pray you just provide a safe travel home for everybody. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen. And Vice Chair, lead us in the pledge, please.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Hoorah. All right, let's go ahead and do a call to order. Let's do roll call. We'll start front here. Always need to grab the mic.
Kurt Messer.
Steve Anderson.
Brandon Salter.
Len Herring.
Sherry Warren.
Rhonda Jett.
Bill Engelbrecht.
Tim Wynn.
Courtney Connor.
Ewell McNair.
Christy Perry.
Susan Callahan.
Debbie Pasco.
Matthew Mitchell.
Glenn Taylor.
All righty, fantastic. We do have a quorum here. I think we're only missing maybe one member. So, fantastic. Appreciate everyone's time coming here. We hopefully are halfway through, but we will see what we have in front of us today and where we want to take this moving forward. I have approval of minutes for our February 9th, 2026 meeting. They were included in your packet. Can I have a motion for approval?
I make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve the minutes. Can I have a second? Second. I have a second. Any discussion? Any revisions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Minutes are hereby approved.
I'm an abstention, was
Okay.
not present.
Thank you. Your abstention is recognized. All righty. I'm going to go ahead and open this up for public comment. Any public comment?
Richard Klinsman, 1985 Temecula Trail, Middleburg. I actually came down here to voice my objection to this ridiculous attempt, third time in a row, to jack up the salaries of commissioners. It's just ridiculous. Word of mouth has killed it twice, and why you can't take a hint is beyond me. It's going to get voted down a third time, and frankly, it's going to be annoying more and more the citizens as you go on. And I just don't get it. You know, everything should be a learning experience. But I haven't really been following that closely except for that issue. But I see it looks like someone wants to make an attempt to get rid of our charter. Our charter is our Constitution. We are not a fascist county. We don't put up with all of the nitwittery out of Tallahassee. We are here to make our own rules, and we do not want the charter taken away and be subject to a bunch of nameless, faceless people hundreds of miles away. It's ridiculous. And it's fascism. You cannot have a constitution for the public and then repeal it and say you can't have it anymore. The CRC frequency was another issue that came up and was voted down. Again, a learning experience. Nobody wanted that. Well, more people than not didn't want it. It's already been voted on, it's been decided. Why you insist on a middle finger salute to this county to appease a very small portion is beyond me. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any additional public comment? Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to the commission members here. All right, we do have items that is on the discussion. I did have a speaker planned for this evening to go over this particular topic, but upon further discussion with council on this, I decided to cancel that particular speaker. And I want to hold off in getting into all of that, I think, until we actually get to our new business, but just know that there was a reason for me doing that. And council will get into that in just a moment. But so let's go ahead and move on to old business. We have an updated charter topic list. Let's see here. That's page 17 of your packet. Got a large packet today. If everyone is good with that, I guess I will just take a motion to approve the current topic list. All right, I have a motion to approve the topic list and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, so we have our topic list in front of us. All right, let's go ahead and move into Article 2. We have salaries and compensation under Section 2.2, Paragraph C of the Charter. We have been provided by our counselor a memorandum on this language, the language that was approved in a prior meeting, and reasons as to why he is providing us with another option to consider. So I'm going to let Mr. Taylor inform us of what this memo is all about and what his recommendations are with regard to this
Thank you,
motion.
Chairman. So what I have is, as you all know, we went through and we voted on a amendment and the language for the amendment, which is what I have provided for you exactly as y'all voted on and approved at the last meeting, which is on page 2 of 5, which I'm identifying as option 1. And then I'm also providing you with several other things, which is a second option, which I'll go to into in a minute. And then I've given you some Florida statutes. I tried to keep it short and concise, but to the point on this. And what the, really, I think probably the easiest place, hopefully y'all were able to look at this earlier. I know it's kind of dense and there's quite a bit of it to review, but I think the cases on the last page, 5 of 5, I tried to kind of highlight what my concerns are, and I'm completely fine too with whatever y'all decide on. So option 1, which is the one you all have chosen, if you're fine with that, then we can move forward. We've already approved it. If these other issues are some concern to you, then that can be rescinded and option 2 can be put in place. But I just felt it was my obligation to present this case law to you as a commission. And the concerns are that really it kind of comes down to what's a little different about our charter than other charters is there is that specific, very specific provision for the $37,000, which sets the commissioner's salary. And you can see here, here's 3 Supreme Court decisions, which are all, somewhat dated, but still good law. And in the one that we amended, we just have the new rule. And here, what this case law focuses on is whether or not if we're repealing or significantly altering an existing limitation, which my position would be to suggest that the existing $37,000 would be such a limitation. And that's mentioned in each one of these cases in different contexts, whether there's changes, what the changes are, In the second case, there with Sarasota County, and then even the third case with the repeal of existing provisions. So whether that language, whether the language we voted on is fine, or whether in the second option, really the primary difference is that it just has that the commissioner's salary would be removed from the charter. Otherwise, the two are very close together. And there is a risk to the county, which is what I discussed in the memo, where is that transparent or not transparent? And would that be subject to legal challenges or not? And I would suggest to you that they would be, but then again, maybe nobody will. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's really what I wanted to present to y'all.
Chair, go ahead, Bill. I have a question, Bill has a question.
Okay, I didn't see any hands, so we'll go ahead and then
We
move
both
to Bill.
went through each other. So my question is, in reference to the 101.161, the Florida statute that you attached to it, it says measures shall be printed in clear and ambiguous language. My interpretation, when you see shall the Clay County Charter be amended so that the county commissioner compensation, and my flip would be from limited to restricted, to salary set forth in the Florida statute 145.301. That's very clear what it's pulling from. There's no ambiguity there. I mean, it's very clear, here's where it is, this is what we're pulling from. So I guess I question why we think that ambiguity, I mean, it says in here shall be printed in clear, ambiguous, and it's very clear and ambiguous. Go ahead, that's where I'm coming from.
Yes, is that to me?
Yeah.
Chairman, yes, I would agree with you. That is clear. But the case law also refers to changes or significantly altering, including repeal of existing provisions. So that's what I'm suggesting to you is that you change from the $37,000 a year to the statutory amount, because that was very clearly put in before. And that's for the commission to decide.
I'm going to go to Bill and then to Matthew.
Okay, Glenn, so on page 20 and then 21 of the packet out of 25, and it's got the ballot proposal.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Letter C, on page 20, you struck out the $37,000 per year. However, the next sentence says any salary changes shall be approved by majority of the electors in a general election. And on page 21, again, letter C, struck out the $37,000 per year, and then you added the same as those set annually, and et cetera. Again, the next sentence says, any salary changes shall be approved by majority of electors in a general election. If we still have that in there, and that's, then there's really no reason to even vote, because if our electors, if our citizens of the county are still going to vote yay or nay on a raise or not. And I think the whole idea was to go ahead and allow us to follow the state guidelines of whatever the 70% of that. And I was wondering about the 70%. I thought we were going to talk about it. And excuse me, I did miss last meeting, calendar issue. But also, I do have another question in regards to this. It says other compensation. Now, is that anything to do with any kind of COLAs, the cost of living adjustments? Is that identified under other compensation?
Let me try to take those. So the 70% was discussed at the last meeting, and that was voted down.
Okay.
So that was number one. Number two is, yes, you're exactly right. So the second one does have an additional change to it, which is that set annually by general law for the county commissioner. So that was just to make that, an attempt to make that clear, that each year that would change as the statute changes and the population changes, that it will change annually. So hopefully to make that a clear thing, which is not in the first language that we don't have. And then the third point was, I struggled with the language about any salary changes shall be approved by a majority of electors in the general election. I initially was going to strike that language out of the charter, but after research and thorough consideration, then I thought that may further the commission's wishes by retaining that language in it. And then the fourth question I think you had was, I don't recall.
It was a cost of living adjustment under other compensation.
The other compensation is really the other benefits, and the cost of living adjustment would be contained in that annual adjustment, I would suggest. I mean, there's like 5 factors that go in that calculation under the statute. I think maybe the COLA is in there. I don't really recall exactly. But I believe that it is.
So under the other, and let me just make sure I'm getting this clear, other compensation, it's titled, as it says, the meaning of it, does it include anything about COLAs? I didn't hear your answer.
Well, I would say historically, no, but other compensation would be like salary, would be the retirement plan. They have a retirement plan. They have health benefits, maybe days off due to family illness, things like that.
Okay.
But in this instance, I guess you could be, if this is approved as the council, as the commission previously passed at the last meeting, then yes, other compensation could be the COLA.
So I'm going to go back to the other sentence again that I had pointed out, that's on both. Any salary changes shall be approved by majority of electors in the general election. If you have that in there and you keep that in there, what you have proposed on both of these pages up top it becomes irrelevant now, because the citizens still have to vote for that raise, regardless of what we put in there or not. So you can have it open. You can put in there, oh, they'll get this amount, but then it's the citizens that's got to
It
approve
could
that,
be,
yes or no.
but,
That's the way
but
I
I would say,
interpret
no, that's really just to say if we want to change it from the statute in the future, then we would have to have them vote on that. But we're enacting the statute and the statutory requirements.
But then why, I'm sorry, not my turn to talk.
Matthew's been very patiently waiting.
Please. Bill, did you have?
Sorry, keep forgetting. Then my question though is, because I interpret that as in, anytime there's a salary change, and this is, just educate me if I'm not getting it, any salary changes be approved by the majority of electors. Again, we're having to take it back to the ballot for any, but then why have it where we're doing it Florida statute wise? It's gonna change regardless, but then we put that there.
Yes.
It seems contradictory to me,
It's,
and if it confuses me, okay.
and that's where I struggle with it too. Initially, I had that stricken from, this is like the 4th draft on this.
I mean, it either is or it's not.
Well, or it can be interpreted that if we wish to change it again, let's just say we want to take it off the statute, or we want to put it at 70% in the future at the next Charter Review Commission, then that would have to be approved by a majority of the electors in the general election.
But then you add in that clause if that's something they choose to do later on. To me, it's just very contradictory to each other within the same ballot. I'm probably kicking a dead horse. You guys know where I'm at. I find these two statements contradictory to each other. Either we're gonna do that or we're not.
Matthew, you do want
I'm
to?
sorry.
No, that's okay.
I mean, I've struggled going around trying to get to where I believe I mean, really my, I mean, I can't really express what I'd like to do. I mean, what I'd like to do is strike that sentence. I'd like to use option 2, and I'd like to leave it like that. I think that's the clearest example of it. But I feel like this is what furthers, I'm trying to take my vote out of it, and I believe this is the clearest language that still will survive challenges by anybody who challenges the statute. And for option 1, do I think it's bulletproof? No, but I think it would sustain any challenges.
Let me, Matthew, do you have, I want to just follow up
That-
to
that-
you. You've been waiting.
Is that okay?
I think we have, I interpret it, kind of how Glenn is interpreting it, but if we all sit here and we give this to a room of 100 different attorneys, they're all gonna interpret it differently. So I think what we have here is counsel to provide his advice to us. That's what you're here for, your opinion. And then at the end of the day, if we decide to go with option 1, which is what we voted on last time. Council has suggested that that will not pass. Again, we can have opinions on if it would or not. However, at the end of the day, council doesn't know. It's up to the judge. That is, we're not judges. So at the end of the day, that's who it comes down to interpret. Kind of, I'm just piggybacking off of what you brought up, your first question, Rhonda. So we can sit here and say, you know, we don't know, this, that, but at the end of the day, it comes down to who's the judge at the end of the day to determine if it is or if it isn't. But like council said, I think to prevent us from further legal action, should, we want to continue with this initiative, I think we switch to option 2 to prevent any legal challenges that council is suggesting, so.
Chair. I'd like for us to do two, if we're gonna run with that, I would like to be even more specific. Where it says will be adjusted annually to the salary set by Florida statute, and then put that statute in there. I mean, we talked about earlier about not being ambiguous, so let's put it in there. What exactly we're referencing to if we're gonna go with B.
I certainly can,
So how often is the statute updated?
annually.
Annually?
Yeah.
Okay, so I do see huge contradiction. I wasn't here last time, but I listened to the tape intently. So the real question here is the contradiction that's just been pointed out.
Which is,
And if you put a percentage or whatever else and you latch one to the other, then every time the state revises its statute, you gotta go back to the electorate. Because in order to do what you've asked to do, a pay raise would have to be done by a majority of the electorate. So every single year, in order for you to do what it is that you've written here, you would have to hold a special election just for the salary increase. Or you write it some other way.
I think that's an excellent
adjusted
point.
properly.
It's,
And this only
It's
meets
an
once
excellent
every
point.
4 years, so.
I guess the concern is that it had been voted down twice or 3 times already, and the commission seems determined to want to try to place this on the ballot, which I view my role as trying to put bumpers on that to make it successful from any type of legal challenges. And I felt like that provided some reassurances to the public that they were still involved, and that, yes, does it have to be, I wouldn't interpret that as each time that the law changes, that they have to approve it. I would interpret that as if we want to change from the general law, section 145, then that has to be approved by the majority of electors in the general election. Yes, it could be interpreted the way that y'all are suggesting. I agree. But it's,
I'm just suggesting that we figure out what terminology is necessary to make sure that people don't fall under the opinion that for every raise that is intended for the commissioner, that, hey, I didn't get a vote on that.
I agree with you. And I would like much clearer language on all of this. I really would. And I would recommend much clearer language, but I felt like the commission at the last meeting was quite clear as to the changes they were trying to do, so I was trying to effectuate those changes.
So let's go to.
I'm kind of riding the fence on this, if you want. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, and again, I was not able to be here.
Well, you saw it on TV, so that's fine.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure that the clarity of the statement, which has been now read on both sides, articulates the realities that the statute changes annually, and there is no requirement for, after this particular point, if this were to be adopted, that you would do anything within the electorate, because the state has already determined what that is. I mean, that's really the bottom line here, is that we're moving away from the charter restrictive to the state adjusted annually. And in the charter, the expectation and requirement is that the electorate approve any change from that point going forward, which is 18 years ago. It still hasn't been done.
I agree with you 100%. And I mean, if you want my opinion on it, I would say that removing the $37,000 requirement is a significant alteration of an existing limitation. That's got to be stricken from there. I would say that whatever the one is I submitted on the last one, which was handily, that was really, my preference was the one I presented to the last meeting. I don't have a copy, I don't have that in here because I had option, whatever it is. It might be in our packages or something like that. And some of the other language was written. And I had requested that the commission wait until I had language drafted before we voted on it and approved on it, but it was felt that everybody was clear, very clear. And they were clear in the language that I have in option one. And now I'm just pointing out some concerns.
Hey, Debbie, did you want to make a, and then Christie?
Okay, yeah, thank you. And I agree, when I read that and I saw that, okay, here's what we have on the ballot, and then we have this extra sentence, is that redundant or is it contradictory? So I think that maybe we just need to change the wording so it seems more that it's backing up its own self and not contradicting itself. And I don't know if it's too late or if it's valuable,
No, it's
but
not
I'm
too late.
wondering.
We still have more meetings and we have more time to discuss and we can, yes, it's
I
definitely.
just think that, obviously, we've seen that there are people who have very strong feelings about changing this salary that has not been changed in 18 years. And so some people think it should be and some people think it should not be. And so I think if perhaps we use the wording more commiserate with state statute or something to that effect where it sounds, okay, we're trying to make this fair and not, we're just trying to get away with paying people all kinds of bad money. To make it, to just make it more clear that what we're trying to do is compensate people appropriately for the job they're doing. So that's my question is that sentence redundant or is it contradictory? And is there more possibly input that we could work on the wording?
I would say either it's in or it's out. I mean, my preference is to remove it, quite frankly. I mean, that's why I had it removed at the last meeting. But we're trying to thread a needle here through this case law. Without, which the case law is fairly clear that as the path that I recommend, but we've been unsuccessful. The voters have voted it down. Very well could be because they didn't understand the issues and it wasn't explained to them, and it should be presented to them again, hopefully in a more clear way that's transparent, that they will be comfortable voting either in favor or not in favor, whatever they decide. And so that's what this was an attempt to try to present it maybe in a different light that would still achieve everyone's objectives.
So two things I guess I have. One, I thought, this language that's on option one has already gone to the general election in other counties and it's already passed. And so that's why that language was picked and recommended, and there was a motion last meeting to use this language because it's already gone through in other counties. It's already approved and passed the legislature. I feel like it's very clear, it's not ambiguous. Anybody can search what that Florida statute is. You can see exactly what the formula is every single time, and it's commensurate to the county size. My other thing is we already voted on this 9-4. So at the last meeting, so we're discussing it again. From what I understood, this was the language we were moving forward with. So the subsequent language below, I agree the salary changes, that sentence can be construed as contradictory to what we already voted for. So my recommendation would be to take that sentence out and then we go with option one, which we already voted on at the last meeting.
I think he's just providing just what we voted on. We voted on something we didn't see. I think that, and he's providing his counsel and legal advice. So, which is 100% appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's been voted on doesn't mean it can't be rescinded.
Yeah, exactly my point. So just because we did vote on it, counsel is advising that we do not go with this option. We hired counsel to prevent us from being, we invited counsel, or we have counsel to prevent us from getting into legal issues. He provided what we voted on. He provided a second option, which if we choose to go with that option, we would just have to make a motion to rescind what we voted on, and then we can vote on the second option, is what that process
I
is.
guess my question then is, if this was already used in Florida elections, this was the language that was used and set forth, why do you think that it's not
That was a
within?
different, I mean, there was a whole different set of facts on that. Yes, it was on the ballot. I believe it was in Leon County. Their charter was set up a little bit different in terms of using state, if I recall correctly, using the state formula for other calculations, and they just spread it out to the commission, is what they did. And then also it did not have that specific $37,000 limitation in it. But that doesn't mean that we can't use it here. I mean, which is, I mean, I'm not recommending, I mean, I'm not making any recommendation. I'm just setting forth what I have in this memo is what I'm doing.
I'm gonna, Christie, are you all set for now? Okay. Tim, and then we're gonna go to Steve.
I just want to make it clear for the people that are watching on TV that our recommendations don't automatically make it to the ballot, correct?
No,
It
they
goes
do.
to the board and the commission. The commission can either decide to move it
No.
forward. So,
No, this will go to I mean, the commission will kind of pass it through, is my understanding.
okay, so that's what I'm trying to understand. So our recommendations will go to the county commissioners and they can choose to move it
No.
forward? No, okay.
It'll go to the
Okay.
ballot.
Okay, so that's what I didn't understand. And so going on your language, so if we follow the state, that's the minimum. So when you put whatever verbiage that you put in, I kind of agree with the verbiage because that's the minimum. We can actually give more than the state wants to give, correct?
We can give them as much as we want.
Yes, so like we could give them, if you serve 2 terms, you could get health care for the rest of your life. So that would have to go, so that would, I'm just using that as an example, you know, so that would, having your verbiage in there.
Oh, we could pay them
Yeah, yeah,
$200,000 a year. If you want to
right.
pay them $200,000 a year, we'll put it in there. And
Right. So that's what your it's just saying that when you add it on there, we're at the minimum. So if we want to give more, we can. In order to give more, we could just follow that second part of the paragraph that you're asking. Does that make sense? Like we
I mean,
could
we're having a
follow.
hard time getting to the 96. What
No,
more do
we
you want to
could
give?
follow, no, I'm just saying, it's just, we could give extra because of that verbiage that you put there, that would allow that, correct?
Well, the verbiage, well, I guess it would.
No, I kind of like
Because it-
that, so,
Yeah.
so,
Or-
yeah, that's just the minimum we're working with. So if we want to give more, there's a route to give more. But let me be clear, I'm against the big pay raise, so I voted no. But I'm just saying, when you added that part in there, that allows for us to give them extra benefits or, so that's good that that's there.
Or
is
to
what I'm trying
change
to
it,
say.
or maybe go back or do something else.
Right,
It-
yeah,
but
so
really,
that
that was,
protects everybody.
I felt like it, after
all I'm
much
saying.
consideration, I felt like it made it clear that the voters still have a voice
Yes.
in what the commissioner's salaries are.
So I agree.
And
That's
that
what
was
I'm
why I ultimately, even though it is duplicitous perhaps, maybe it's,
Hold on, I'm sorry, Steve has been patiently waiting.
I mean, y'all can ask me, I mean,
That goes to my statement
this is
earlier.
fun, in a way.
Right ahead, Steve.
Okay, I just have to ask.
Yep.
I must be a little slow. So what's our job as CRC? I thought we made recommendations. Do we not?
We do make recommendations.
So are you saying, Scotty, that, or Glenn, I'm sorry, that we're gonna go, whatever words we pick, go directly to the ballot without
Yes,
any
sir.
review?
Well-
No
well-
review at all?
I'm reviewing it.
Well, I understand that, but no one else reviews it. So whatever we vote out of here goes
Well,
directly
it
to
will
that
go
and
to
the count.
commission,
Well,
but the commission is more of a pass-through.
okay, but they have the right to either approve or not approve, no? So our recommendations go directly to there?
Well, Maybe we could have Courtney add.
I've just
comment.
gone
I
on with
think-
what you said.
I want to make
Yeah,
sure
I'm
that
with
we're
you.
being accurate here, and I'm hearing some contradictory, let's bring up our county attorney here.
So the procedure for recommendations for the ballot from the CRC
You make them, they have 3 public hearings, and then you pass them to the board. But the board just has to pass them on directly to the supervisor of elections. It's because of it's a statutory requirement that the board is the one that's empowered to put them or send them, yeah. So they can't change them. Now, the board does have the separate opportunity that they themselves can put charter amendments on it. So, you know, that's a separate process. That wouldn't even come to you if they wanted to put some. There is a process in the charter that they themselves could come up with it. It comes by ordinance and then they put it on it, and it doesn't come to you. But there would not be any revision, so whatever your final language is, that's decided, it doesn't get revised. Now, the only person that could shoot it back to you would be like the supervisor of elections if he's like, hey, your word count's wrong. You know, you haven't complied with the statute.
Okay, so just for a point of clarity, so I really understand where we're going here. If after the 3 meetings that we have public, is there an opportunity for us, the charter, to amend based on public opinion that before it moves forward?
Yes, I mean, you could have another meeting, you have to bring it back and you have to rescind what you've done and, yeah.
But that's what the political process is all about. So the concessions made post-public input.
We still are working with the deadline of, was it May or June to get something finalized in order to meet our deadline of getting it to the supervisor of elections?
Yeah.
It was August. Okay. Steve, go ahead.
So, okay, so what we put in goes forward. So my question then is, who's going to kick it back? Because you brought up and you said, well, this might be challenged and so on.
Well, and that's what I'm saying in this memo, is that, you know, say a citizens group says, you know, I hate to go down this path too far, but, you know, maybe a political action committee, or there's some, you know, some voter files of legal action against this, and they ask for a writ of mandamus or something to just take it off the ballot. Because of the language, because the language is not, in their opinion, and if it's agreed to by the judge, that it's not transparent. And so, and my concern is to try to help you thread it through that needle, because we do all this work and we've all taken all this time here together, and then to have a judge kick it out and say that. So that's why I raise these things.
Matthew?
I would like to make a motion to rescind our last approval ballot language and substitute that language with our legal counsel's advice, his second option. So my motion is, again, to rescind what we voted on and substitute that with option 2.
Alrighty, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a motion that has been properly seconded. Any further discussion? Yes. Susan, and then Rhonda? And Vice Chair.
The only problem I see is in the second option, we are not putting in the Florida statute.
Correct.
So you're not giving people a chance to investigate. So I would like to stay with option 1. Or add it to
Or,
the.
yeah, use option 2. I think your counsel is good counsel, and I think we should heed it. But I would like to tweak this so that we change the verbiage just a little bit, if we can fit it within the word.
I believe we still do have words left,
Limitation.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was my comment, was to put, set forth in Florida statute 145.031. I mean, if we're gonna put it
I think we're at
very
like
pinpoint it, then I think we need to
Like
make sure we
68
do that.
words or something is where I think we are.
Chair, sorry, amendment to the motion that I just made. I totally messed that up. Rescinding,
You have, for any further discussion on the motion that
Should-
is on the table?
correct. But then
Right,
And you
so
can
hold on
rescind.
1 second, then you can make that a motion, but let me just hear Bill for additional discussion.
Explain to me how the language is not contradictory to each other, from the top part to the bottom part.
With retaining the language that any salary changes shall be approved by a majority of electors.
Yes, it's like okay, yeah, you could do this, but you still gotta do this, so it's a moot point. That's how I'm
Well,
looking
it's
at it.
whether the annual thing, each annual one has to be approved by a majority of electors, and I agree. Actually, I agree. I think it would be clear and less likely to subject to legal challenge if that sentence was stricken as
That
well.
was gonna be my comment, was to have that taken out. And then what he was about to say.
I mean, that would be my preference,
Strike that, just strike that out.
to strike that sentence as well, as it was stricken at the last meeting.
So I think we're about to have a revised, an amended motion. Any further discussion on what's before us now before this revision's proposed? Okay, go ahead.
All right,
Matt.
so revision to allow us to discuss updated changes to the current ballot language. My motion is now to rescind the last vote on the ballot language to open up discussion on new ballot language. So I make a motion to rescind the last
Second.
approval.
Okay, so I have a motion to rescind that's been properly seconded. Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Aye. Passes. Yeas have it, so the motion carries. So the floor is open for further discussion on how we would like to proceed with these two options before us.
I'd like to make a motion to go with option 2. Glenn, if you will add in set forth in Florida statute 1.5.031. I'd also like to see any salary changes shall be approved by majority of electors in general election deleted. I think that confuses them, and that's where I set us seeing the ballot to be written.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion that has been properly seconded. Any discussion on said motion?
Yeah, just a point of clarification for myself and others that may be watching. This motion that we are about to vote on will be then passed to him for a ballot language, correct? For
I recommend that the language that this CRC approves, whoever does move to approve it, allows our council to put it in written format so we can ensure that both grammatically, content, word count is all within the legal requirements that we are held to.
So the motion that was just made is to refer to council on that, correct? Because how I understand it was made kind of exactly how the last motion at the last meeting was just made.
Except we have quite a bit more language now. And we kind of drafted the language verbally at the last meeting, and now we have language before us
It's
that
more
we're just
pinpointed now.
You wanna-
cut and paste together.
I understand
that
that, but I
to-
just want to make sure that I'm clear on what I'm voting on, that we either are voting on passing it to you, and then we'll make an actual vote on the approved ballot language that you submit next month, or
Or
are we voting on, yes, whatever you come up with what the motion was just made? Because I read it the second option.
So, Rhonda, I'm gonna go to
That's
you.
been my original motion.
Okay. If you wish to do so.
I think we just send it to him to clean up the language and it passes as that's the ballot. I mean, we've kicked this horse so many times, that's the ballot.
I'm comfortable with that this
Yeah.
time.
I want to make sure I'm clear,
Yeah.
that's what we're voting.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing.
I mean, last time I wasn't comfortable because it was all fresh language and stuff, but I feel like now we have the language and we've got something before you that everybody can see, and we have some case law that everybody can see.
Motion
And
So
so,
the two adjustments that you just made,
will be the ballot
but
language.
in
I
the
think it's an
ballot
excellent
language.
point.
okay.
Yes.
We have some additional discussion over here.
I'm sorry.
Tim?
Hey, so Glenn, can you explain to me again what the verbiage is gonna say?
So the language will say, under option 2, I'll just read it to you. So say, shall the Clay County Charter be amended to remove charter specified county commissioner salary of 30,000 and provide that county commissioner salaries will be I'm gonna have to work on the word limitation, but will be limited to salary set forth on Florida Statute 145.03. And it adjusted annually, and I'll have it annually in there, so it'll be clear that it's an annual type adjustment. As set by general law for county commissioners in non-charter counties. I mean, it's hard to be specifically to, you know what I mean. And then down, right, then the text revisions will be to strike the 37,000 per year, and then to also strike any salary changes shall be approved by a majority of electors in a general election. I wish it was that good, Tim.
All right, any further discussion? All right, seeing and hearing none, let's do a roll call vote, please. We'll start with Mr. Musser.
Yes.
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 No.
No.
Yes.
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 No.
Motion carries, yeas have it, over the 3 noes. All right, so that, I think, puts to bed that discussion. Thank you all. Thank you, Counselor, for your advice and intense research. I know you did a lot of hard work putting those memos together, so thanks for guiding us through all of that. That was a lot. All right, moving on to new business. The first, and that is for, I'm sorry?
So the one item of scheduling the public hearings.
Oh, sorry about that.
So do you want that to go ahead and move forward? So we have a suggestion for that, just
Okay.
if you want to. You already have scheduled your April 20th meeting, and you have scheduled your May 18th meeting, which those are both your third Mondays. And in accordance with the charter, you have to do the 3 meetings 10 days apart. You all do not have to be at the public hearings. You just have to have a majority. The option would be to place it for May the 4th. That would be your third. So you would do April the 20th, May the 4th, and May the 18th. Now, you can wait and decide that after you decide whether you're doing anything else in connection with your new business, because you may want to push them off.
Okay, but those 3 meetings would suffice for the 3 public hearings for this particular language.
Right. But I can tell you, if you're going to have other items on the ballot, you don't want to have like 6 public hearings. You'd want to combine them. Right. So, the scheduled meetings for your are April the 20th and May the 18th. That's the third Mondays. But you could squeeze in the May the 4th. But if you have something else, we can push it and try and, we can do them differently is what I'm trying to say. But that's just, I wanted you to have that on there.
Courtney, could you remind us when we have our deadline again for everything to submit to the?
It's not until, I would say it's in July, I don't have it right with me. So it has to be to the supervisor of elections by August, and I think you have to hit the last board meeting in July in order to make it.
Okay, so since we're on this topic, and I do apologize, I didn't see that there. Does May 4th work for the majority of folks here?
Well, I think we wait, right? Because this is just my thought. If we are going to put something else on the ballot, we wait and then have them all all 3 at the same time. So that way we're not meeting or like I think you just said 6 meetings.
Okay, yeah, if
So
you want to.
wait and decide after your,
Okay. Let's wait and decide. See if anything else is added to the ballot. Sounds good? Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. All right. If nothing else, moving on to new business, Article 4, Section 4.2B, Amendments and Revisions by Charter Review Commission. The first one here is repeal of county charter. I'm going to go ahead and switch this back over to our counselor to explain kind of the reason why I canceled our guest speaker on this particular topic. Counselor, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. So there's a second memo, which this one did not come in your package, because there was a lot of discussions on this, whether we have the jurisdiction, whether the Charter Review Commission has the jurisdiction to be able to repeal the charter, which was one of our speakers or in the public comment section had suggested maybe that as a possibility. And so we kind of batted that around. Y'all probably have not had a chance to read this memorandum that was provided in the packets this evening. But to summarize it for you, we do not have the jurisdiction to do that. And it is not mentioned, what I've listed for you here, just to follow the order of the memo, is repeal is mentioned in the Florida Constitution. However, it's not mentioned anywhere else. It's not mentioned in Florida statutes. There's amendments that are mentioned. There's revisions. There's a little bit of case law on what a revision is, but you could not have a series of revisions that would amount to a repeal, in other words. But amendments are certainly provided for, like what we're discussing on the commissioner salaries. And then there's the charter itself, really, which is the guiding document for the Charter Review Commission, and there's no mention whatsoever in there about repeal. So where do you go from there? So then, is there any case law on that? And there is not case law on that. So there's however many counties there are, I think it's around 20, there has not been a charter repealed. There are some Attorney General opinions which are quite dated, actually, and I provided those as Exhibit A1 and A2 to you. One is a formal opinion, one's an informal opinion. There's different viewpoints on the weight of Attorney General opinions. Some attorneys don't place much value on that. Others, it is the lead attorney for the state of Florida and give it great weight. But these opinions do not answer the question about it, but what they do is they kick it back really to the Florida legislature, which granted it. So really the question is yes, it can be repealed, absolutely. What is the mechanism or the vehicle that gets it on the ballot so that the voters can vote for the repeal of it? Can the Charter Review Commission write that language and put it on the ballot? Can the Board of County Commissioners do that? Or does the Florida legislature need to do that? Those are really the three bodies that would do it, that the voters would vote on. And it is outside the jurisdiction for y'all to do that. And so really what this memo said, and there's probably reasons for this too. I mean, the legislature clearly thought about, well, you can pass it, but how do you get rid of it? I mean, that's just like turning a light switch on or turning it off. And so I would suggest to you that there's reasons why they did not put that language in there. And that's because you can imagine if it was just, if you guys, the 15 of you decided to eliminate it, you could throw the county into quite a bit of chaos. And so it would require more than that. And experts and studies, as was maybe similarly done when it was enacted, I would suggest to you. So really, my last sentence here is that the strong implication is that the legislator, is the one to require a special election or act of the legislature on that. So, and that's all I have.
So, Bill, go ahead.
So what you're saying, well, let me ask you this. Does all 67 counties have a charter?
No,
They do
there's
not.
approximately 20.
Okay, so what the next question is how did Clay County get this charter?
So the
Was it-
county, yeah, the county commissioners had a commission that had, I guess they had meetings on it. Mark Scruby had discussed that when he was in here, but they had a commission and then they recommended the language, which was a standard charter, and then the
So
voters.
if we can bring a charter up to have in this county, can we not bring it up to
And that,
remove
That's
charter?
a very logical question, and that's one I looked at, and really, I would say no. The answer is no. Just because we brought it in does not mean that we can bring it out in that. And there's nothing in the statute, and there's nothing in the charter that provides for that either. So there's no affirmative authority for that.
So once it's set forever?
No, it can be repealed, but just not by the Charter Review Commission. Because there's no express authority, affirmative authority in the charter that provides for y'all to do so.
Okay, so I'm a little confused then. So who can repeal it? State legislators?
I would say that clearly the state legislatures can.
Okay, so what would be, the purpose of us having a charter so that we are not aligned with the talking heads in Tallahassee, okay? So if they're able to come back in and say, you know what, we don't like what you're doing, we're gonna take your charter away, I think we should have the jurisdiction of one way or the other. I don't think, yeah, we put it in, but then they can easily come back and say that. So there's gotta be something, some kind of barrier, a buffer of some sort to,
Yeah, I don't know that they could so easily come in. I mean, there's not a statute on that.
It's a ballot initiative. A ballot initiative made this body work. A ballot initiative can take it out, but it has to be citizen-driven, and you have to get petitions, and it's a whole big process. So it technically, from the process that is there, you can have it done, but it is a citizen-driven ballot initiative that requires, I don't know how many signatures, but it's a lot. Just like it took a lot to get it here. So that can happen. So there are avenues to abolish this. What I think Glenn is trying to help us out is that we as a board, as a commission, can't go, okay, we want to put this on the ballot to do away with ourselves.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
There are ways to do it,
Yes.
just not through
Yes,
this
ma'am.
body.
Okay, Vice Chair.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Jett. You kind of touched on some points that I was going to make. So, but my other aspect to this is, as the gentleman stated earlier, the charter is our constitution. We have to have some kind of guiding principle here. And I don't think in our earlier conversations as a body that most of us was talking about getting rid of the charter. I think this was just one of those items that came up and we discussed, and it somehow is still around. But I'm prepared to make a motion to remove it because I do not believe that, as with council stated, that the CRC's position and role and responsibilities is to put forth something where we can get rid of the charter. So, Chair, if there's no other discussion points, I would certainly like to make a motion.
You have the freedom to make a motion, sir.
Sure. I would like to make a motion to remove this item from the list of discussion and consideration, based upon, obviously, our legal's guidance here, but also just as a citizen. I am a pro-charter guy, so I really think this is a appropriate position to take. So I make the motion to remove it from discussions.
And
I
I'll
have a
second that.
motion and I have a second. Any additional discussion? Hearing and seeing none, those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We shall remove this as a topic. Okay. Thank you, Counselor, again, for all of your hard work and your guidance on that. Next is utility tax. Mr. Muster, was that your topic?
The reason that I asked to have it included is because we were going to bring up the possibility of whether or not we could put on the ballot to delete the charter, that the utility tax is unique to a charter county. It's one of the things that said counties, on non-charter counties cannot level a utility tax in unincorporated areas, whereas charter counties can provide a municipal utility tax levied in unincorporated areas, and this county does currently have that. And so I think it was in the last meeting, there was a discussion that's about $4 million a year. And the only reason I brought it up was that if the topic of deleting us as a charter county came up, that would be included in that as a very important issue as to whether or not we should consider it. But given what Glenn is saying is that nothing against lawyers, but you guys make it so difficult. Telling me that of all the charter counties out there, that 20, that none have ever considered because they're afraid to set a precedent on who would be the one that can decide whether you vote on it or not. I mean, it's.
I didn't say that, but.
I know, and I wouldn't expect that from a lawyer. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say yes or no when you're a lawyer. But it just stuns me that when it says that the provision is that by adoption and issue of a referendum of a county home rule charter, that the proposal may be initiated by resolution of a board of county commissioners or petition, as you mentioned. But yet what you're saying is nobody's ever said that, well, that also includes someone being able to, like the board of county commissioners could vote on wanting to put a ballot initiative that says we don't want to be a charter county. And that's because that's all we're doing. We're just making recommendations as to what should be on a ballot. We're not saying that we should or shouldn't be. But what you're telling us is that nobody's ever done this and nobody wants to be the first. To at least put it on a ballot to find out whether or not the people in Clay County want to be a charter county or not. I just find that, I don't know, lawyerese, I'm sorry. But yeah, I make a motion based on the previous past motion that we delete the utility tax as the discussion in this matter because it pertains to the existence of a charter county.
Okay, I have a motion and a speedy second. Any further discussion on said motion? Seeing and hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will strike the utility tax from our topic list, which actually leaves us down to CRC frequency. I've been comparing what we have on the agenda with our topic list on page 17. And unless my eyes deceive me, it looks like the CRC frequency is our last topic, unless anyone has any additional topics to raise. Let's first address the CRC frequency. The floor is open for those who wish to discuss.
Chair, if you don't mind, I think I was one of the ones who brought this forth, just real quick. I mean, moving the charter review to every 8 years, a couple things. It puts us fiscal, as it costs, I think, about 20 to 30, depending on if you're including the attorney cost and what it costs the county every 4 years for that, and government efficiency, honestly. The frequent review creates a cycle bureaucracy churn that wastes our taxpayer dollars. By extending this cycle, we provide the stability needed for local government to actually functioning, ensuring that the past reforms have time to take root and deliver real results before we start tinkering with the rules again. Our county charter is a foundational document, not a political playground for special interest. And that's what I find, that every 4 years, we're back at the same churning again, and these special interests and am I going to run for something? Am I not going to run for something? How do I vote here to go forth? So I really think that, pushing this out every 8 years not only gets some of that minutia out of the way, the cost out of the way, but it also gets us more inconsistent with every other charter, and that's actually on the low end. Most of them are 12 years, 10 to 12. And I can give you the numbers real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. 11 of them meet 8 years. The other ones are 10 and 12. So that puts it more consistently. And that does make sense to see what during an election cycle is going to take hold, what the effect of that election cycle previous is, like last, election cycle last time. This is how many months, not even 6 months into the year of the last election cycle. We don't know what's working and not working yet. Then to come in here and go, okay, we want to change this or we want to change that. That was my discussion or my thought process, which can get me in trouble a lot, of bringing this here and moving it to every 8 years. So that's my 2 cents.
Any additional discussion? Tim?
How many counties do 4 years?
None.
So the lowest is 8?
They moved it, they just moved theirs.
Because very rarely do we ever see major changes on a charter review, correct?
On ours, I've seen major changes on. or direct
Open.
impacts for their-
Mike?
If you look at the history of the other charters, they do some major reforms in accordance to what their citizens would like to see for them. We have not really done anything. I think the only thing that we've done here is a gambling initiative.
So not much,
Correct.
really. So if we don't, I mean, if they meet every 4 years and we don't have many changes, does it really matter? And at least it gets looked at. 4 years is a long time. 8 years is like really long.
I think when you're looking at it from and I'm speaking out of turn, I'm sorry.
No, no, go
I think when you're looking at it from a government site or government viewpoint, you've got to be able, I mean, just last year we had a big election. And now we're already into this charter. How do we know what was passed on that ballot is going to be effective or not? We're not giving this board enough space to be able to do any changes if they wanted to. All we're going to do is battle what citizens denied or approved the last election cycle.
David, comment?
I like all you, but I'd like to make a motion. Change CRC frequency to 8 years.
I second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any additional discussion?
Yes.
Okay, Bill?
We have the option at every CRC meeting or at the very beginning when we bring everybody together to actually go ahead and approve as it is, and then that's done, correct?
Approve what as is?
The charter. So in the beginning, when we met in October, if we looked at it and we said, you know what, we liked it as it is, so we are voting to keep the charter as is, then we're done, correct?
As far as my understanding, yes, if there were no topics raised and we wanted to keep it as is, then we could keep the CRC that short.
Okay. I agree with having it every 4 years just because of possible changes, because, I mean, the government changes on a whim every single day. And I know when I tell my employees what I do today may not be what I do tomorrow, because you have to adapt to changes. You got to adapt to the environment itself. So I believe if we, in the 4 years, 8 years is too long. So 4 years, I think it's appropriate. And then if we look at it and we say, listen, the charter is in excellent condition, so we want to just go ahead and make a motion to approve the charter as is, and then we'll see everybody in 4 years after that.
I agree. However, one of the issues I think that we need to be concerned about if we were to pass this particular piece right now is, let's just say this gets approved and the previous does not, which means the 37,000 is stuck for 8 years. So there are aspects of this particular charter that a majority feel need to be fixed. And if we allow that to occur and the second passes, we will not be able to readdress that 37,000 foot ceiling for another 8 years.
So that's what I was gonna also say is, if we have a specified salary in the charter, then I think 8 years is a really long time to wait to relook that salary or be able to make any changes to that because of inflation, economic growth in the area. There's a lot that changes. However, if the salary gets removed out of there and it's just a foundational document, which is what a charter normally is, then I would say 8 years is appropriate.
My point exactly. I think that it's just, the one piece of this charter that I think everybody agrees in is the salary portion.
Oh, is your mic on? All right, any additional discussion?
Just real quick on that, the county commissioners, they can recommend a pay increase also, right? Can't they put that? So that kind of eliminates, I mean, I understand we're a charter commission and we're supposed to make recommendations and so on, but they've made them over and over and over and it's not getting passed. So if we're worried about money, then maybe we should just meet every 8 years like everybody else does.
Any additional discussion?
I have a question.
Debbie, go ahead.
Is there any other charter of the 20 charter counties, any other charter that has told their commissioners they are at that kind of salary, or are they also commiserate with the state statute?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. Do you have the numbers of who's getting paid in accordance with the state salary versus? I don't have that in front of me, Debbie.
And I'd like to say, I do, there is one county that does it every 6 years, so I apologize for that.
All right, so we have a motion to move the CRC frequency from 4 years to 8 years. It has been seconded. Any further discussion on this motion before us? All right, all those in favor, I guess let's do a roll call vote. Mr. Salter, we'll start with you.
Yes, I'm in favor of moving it to 8 years.
No.
Keep going down the line.
I know, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Come back to me.
Okay,
Sorry.
Rhonda?
Yes, to move.
No.
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 Yes.
No.
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 Yes.
Mr. Musser?
No.
Yes.
No.
No? Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9 to 5, noes have it. Motion does not carry. Motion fails. Alrighty, so that is the last topic before us. I want to open it up, before I move it to public comment. Any additional topics that this commission would like to see discussed? Because if not, we would then consider the dates to review the amendment before us. All right, let's go ahead. Hearing none, I'm going to take that as no additional comments. Matthew, do you have something to say?
I don't know. I don't know what the best way to go about the bringing back the CRC. You know, I know we just voted 8 years down, but I don't know if we could have maybe more discussion on that piece of it. Maybe not at this meeting, maybe next meeting, or maybe we look at every 6 years. You know, kind of a fine line. I don't know where everyone's at on that piece of it, but it's kind of where I'm at.
I'm going to open it up to this board. I don't want to take away anything that you all would like to discuss. Does anyone want to pursue this?
I'm so glad that Bill brought that up, because this is good for everybody to understand that Tallahassee's constantly changing. The federal government's constantly changing. All the charter has to do is get together and say, I don't see anything that we need to change. We're done for this year. Come back in 4 years. I would like to keep it at the 4 years because of what Bill said.
Okay. Any additional discussions or motions for the commission to consider? Matthew, I'm going to, any motions? Okay, all right. Hearing no further discussion on this particular topic, I'm going to go ahead and open it up to public comment. Anyone would like to make a public comment? Those are tricky sometimes.
I don't even have one of those telephones that do things for you. It's, okay. Other things I wanted to bring up, I was thinking on my feet, and I don't always get there at my age, but the misunderstanding that this Charter Review Commission seems to have is you're treating the commission jobs as a full-time job, and it's not. It's specifically listed as a part-time job. Anything over and above that is volunteer time. So you got to look at that. The other thing is, we're in a very, very tight budget sector now. Where the economy is not doing that great, and the people of Clay County don't make those kind of salaries. And frankly, my personal opinion is most elected officials or officials in general appointed already make way too much money. And I base that statement on the fact that our governor makes 140 grand a year. And he's responsible to watch out for 23 million people. We have 230,000 people in this county and 5 commissioners to deal with that. The ratio does not work out. It's not the same. Also, as I understand it, most of our commissioners, and for as long as I've been following this, and I go back to 2008, have other jobs. They have normal income. And frankly, I'd like to see that bit about a retirement fund removed. You know, it's 2 bites of the apple. I don't believe in that. And that's after 1 year. What company vests you for a full retirement after 1 year? None that I know of. So anyway, it's also true that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And several things on here are repetitions. 8 years ago, it came up about changing the frequency of the charter to 10 years. This was proposed by one of the most respected, well-known, and loved people in this county, and it was put on the ballot, and it failed. So, again, learn from history. I certainly did. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further public comment? All right, seeing and hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the Commission for CRC member comments. Matthew?
Yeah, I think we go ahead and schedule that May 4th meeting since we have nothing else farther.
All right, how does, so does May 4th work for the majority? First Monday?
Hey, I was one of the no votes, so I'd like to be there. It's a shift day for me. You guys mind having it the following Monday or another day? If not, then I'll just take off work.
Well, it's got to be 10 days
Okay.
apart. It does have to
Okay.
be, yeah.
I'll just take off work.
So that would make the 3 required public meetings for public comment on this particular amendment: April 20th, 5 o'clock start time, May 4th, and again, 5 o'clock start time. Then the third meeting would be May 18th, 5 p.m. start time. Does that all work for everyone? Okay. I'm hearing all yays. All right, so we're going to go ahead and use those those dates for the required 3 meetings for this. All right. With the scheduling out of the way, any additional comments? Go right
Of
ahead.
course I do, I'm sorry. And in reference to the public comment, the Florida governor in '24 actually increased the salary to $251. It did not take effect for him because he was already in office. It takes effect for the next one. And even with that, he still is not in the top 10 of salaries for governor. So that is case in point of where we are now. I personally don't see, and we've had this discussion, our county commissioners are expected to answer their calls 24/7. That to me is not part-time. I've never had a part-time job like that, nor have I had a part-time job that requires as much as we require from our county commissioners. I wanted to make that very clear.
That, I was going to make the point that we have heard commissioners talk about that they work 80 hours a week. And so it's not, and if they have another job, maybe it's because they need another job, not because they have an option, because they need to make money. Another just point is that not all of the jobs you have are paid based on what your responsibility is in a linear fashion, as in like a store manager of a Publix might make, I don't know, $100,000 a year. That doesn't mean that like the produce manager makes $2,000 a year because it's a much smaller job. There's a cost of living factor, and there are many other things to be taken into account. So we can't necessarily say this guy needs to be paid this much because this other guy makes this much. I don't think there's a relationship like that.
Thank you, Debbie. Bill?
So with the retirement, they don't get a full retirement after serving 1 year. It is how the FRS, the Florida Retirement System is if they have the option to do a pension, but they have to be on board for 8 years, or they have the option to go investment-wise. And then at that time, if they go the investment after 1 year, then they are only allowed to put in 3% of their salary that they put in there. The state will turn around and match it and some. Okay, so but there's not a full retirement that they get $37,000 from after serving 1 year as a county commissioner. They get $37,000 for the rest of their life.
Susan, Debbie, do you have a follow-up?
I thought of another point, I'm sorry. So we had talked before about that I do think that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and part of that is gotta be the reason for an opinion, a very strong opinion about like whether or not we pay, which is why we talked about changing the wording, is because we want to make people better understand what we're asking for, or what we're proposing. And so I wanted to make another suggestion that we somehow do like a Q&A or education type opportunity for people to hear and understand what they're voting for, so they know what they're voting for. It's not what they think, it's what they now know, if that's an option.
The public comment hearings are strictly for that. I think trying to set forth a Q&A out beyond that, it goes, number one, it goes beyond what the charter dictates us to do. I just think that's beyond the scope, but they'll have 3 dates to come here and voice their opinion. Susan.
I just wanted to thank the gentleman that you came up here and spoke to us tonight. But I don't know if you realize that we have not been able to give a raise to the commissioners for 18 years. They've been stuck at that $37,000. And that's the reason we all feel like our commissioners deserve more, because they are working more. They're not part-time workers. We've had commissioners come up and tell us they're working pretty much full-time. Yes, they do have other jobs. So yes, they are working for free pretty much, anything over $37,000. But we could get more quality people, qualified people, I should say, to run for county commissioners if we gave them more money. I would never do that job for $37,000, and I'm retired. So I feel like we would be able to get, like I said, a better pool of people wanting to run. Nobody's wanting to run.
Alan, there's no shortage of people.
No. There's nobody wanting to run.
We got to be careful of we've closed public comment, so we can't.
Oh, I apologize. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay.
We'll talk after.
So, Matthew, I see you have some comments, and then we'll go over here. You don't? Okay.
And this is just a question because the statement has come up now 3 times from the public. Is the commissioner's role defined as part-time? So why does the community think that the commissioner is part-time? Every single person who has a negative comment about the potential to increase this person's salary, the first thing they say is, it's a part-time job. That's the first thing they say. If the definition is not part-time, then the expectation from the constituency is that you're not doing this part-time. You're working for me 24/7 for as long as I need to be done. And some of them, and most of them are. So from an education perspective, again, education perspective, how do we make sure that the individuals know that the definition and expectation of a commissioner is not a part-time role, but a full-time role?
That, I mean, fair points, but that goes beyond our scope. I'm gonna leave it to the
I'm
commissioners.
gonna look towards the,
I'm gonna pull you back. I gotta pull you back. That goes beyond our scope. The commissioners, are well-equipped to educate their community how they see fit and as they deem appropriate. Fair points, and you have a right to have that opinion for sure. But again, that goes beyond our scope, and, I'm gonna leave it to our commissioners. Rhonda?
It does go beyond our scope, but as individuals, you can reach out to who you think you can on social media and stuff. Secondly, I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're getting towards the end here. 3 more meetings to go, I think.
Yeah.
We'll be done.
This is a education